Okay. So today I'm here with Kevin McGovern, coach here at Movement Mortgage. And what we wanted to talk to about you about today, Kevin, is the fact that you're so good at planning and business planning, and also the EOS Life. Kind of explain that to us, what that is. And so can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Love it. Well, thanks, Lois, for having me on. And just, I think the fun part about what I get to do is be in the coach's seat on a daily basis and not only help clients, but to pour into others to grow in their business and their life. It's like, that's the cool part about what we get to do. So I think the planning, and I love this time of year. I mean, it's like this is like coach's heaven time, right? When everybody's kind of excited about, hey, where are we at? What did I go through this year? Where do I want to go next year? And I think what excites me is that those that are left in the game, they want to go, right? Unfortunately, we've gone through some downturn, and unfortunately, a lot of people are out of the business, right? But for those left, it's game time. I mean, this is game time. This is the time to put together a stellar plan for 2024 and beyond. We're actually doing a program here now called More in 24. I just got off of a 1-hour call where we were walking through, we had about 320 loan officers on the call. And we're doing one of two sessions. So this was session one of doing a business plan. Session two will be next week. We'll spend another hour with them, prepping them and preparing for them to build their plan for 2024 and beyond. But part of that process starts with assessing where I've been, right? So we've got to always walk through and assess, where have I been? What's my current reality? Where am I at now? And then where do I want to go? So we've basically created a process and a system. And guys, I've been in the coach's seat for 17 years now as a full-time coach. Previous to that, got in the business in 93, was a, street originator. So it's like, I get it. I get what the business is about. Ran up through the ranks, became a top producer, built a team, built multiple teams, ended up being the president of a mortgage company. And then we sold that in 2006. And I became a full-time coach. And people always ask us, like, well, dude, why would you do that? Right? Totally lucky that it was 2006 that we sold our company. Okay. Totally lucky. But the point that I made to people over the years when people ask, well, how could you do that? Is I could. I was able to have an amazing career as a producer and as the president of a mortgage company that financially I was able to do that. And I felt, and I probably felt 3 or 4 years previous to that, I felt obligated to give back to this industry. The business changed my life. I don't like the business. I really don't. I love it. I love it. No, seriously, it changed my life. I couldn't imagine that I could ever earn and have the lifestyle that I was able to have as a result of finding out about this business. Okay. So I've been on this journey for a lot of years now of helping others then do the same. Just do the same thing, rinse and repeat, build the plans and processes, do the systems, have the preparation, and then build the teams around us to be able to have a stellar, amazing career. Wherever you're at in the journey, we just got off of call, and it's like, there's many people right now struggling, right? Trying to get to 2, right? But here's the fun part. What if I can give you a simple plan and a process to get to 4, right? And once we move from 2 to 4, what does a 4 want to get to, Lois? Somebody they want to get to
10. Yeah, they want to.
Right. They want to get to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Then what does 8 want to get to? 16. So I learned early on in the business that there's a double, right, that can occur, right? 2s goes to 4s, 4s go to 8, 8s go to 16, and then the sky's the limit, right? Seriously, the sky is the limit. And that can be done and prepped for now. I believe everybody right now, if they'll take the time to assess, recalibrate their thinking, get their mindset right, and put together in writing. Here's the big key to this, guys, is putting this in writing, a plan for the future. The time we're in right now is the best time ever to build a plan. Best time because you're not as busy, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So, right? I mean, Lois, who was doing super mega planning 3 years ago? Not many. Okay.
Yeah.
You had your hair on fire just trying to get the leads taken care of and the loans through the system. Now, this is the hard time of taking the time to think, write, and then implement on your plans and strategies. So I know that was kind of a long-winded answer, right,
Yeah.
to your first question there, but guys, there's no better time than right now to walk through this, and that's what we're here to do, right?
Well, it's good to know where you came from, what your history was, and your background, because then that gives us a better outlook on why you think it's so important to have a plan. I know you touched on a little bit as far as having a plan for the year, having a plan that you actually look at. What's the importance of that? I mean, you talked about a little bit about having it written.
Yeah, I think in one of the processes that, and we'll talk a little bit about that EOS Life. So the entrepreneurial operating system is a key component. But one of the sections in there, so there's a 2-page document. It's called a VTO, a Vision Traction Organizer. First page is all about vision. Second page is all about traction, getting it done. 1-year plan, quarterly rocks, issues. But on page 1, we're going to walk through clarifying your values. What's important to you? We're going to clarify, a 10-year. We're going to clarify your purpose and your why. But to me, the glue of the whole thing is the 3-year plan. And in that, we walk through a process of clarifying what does it actually look like in writing 3 years from now. So I'm going to write as if it's 12/31/2026. Okay. 10 years out, it's like, kind of hard to get out there. I can kind of come up with some big goals. It's like, well, how old are you going to be in 10 years? Like, oh, I don't even want to say how old I'm going to be in 10 years. It's like, right. But I still want to be active and alive and, doing things with my grandkids and right.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's part of my 10-year plan. I still want to be able to mentor a handful of people, right? 10 years from now, I still plan on being active as a coach forever. I don't need to stop. So that's pretty easy for me to kind of go out there. But for many, it's like now dial down to 3 years. What does a day in the life look like? Right? Write on a piece of paper as if it's 12/31/2026, written on 12/20 or 12/10/2023. Okay. And then I'm going to write down, hey, I'm going to write in the current present tense, not I wish, I could, I want, I hope to. I have, I am, I do, right? Here it is. It's 12/31/2026. This has been an amazing year. And then I just write the story. What are my numbers? What is my volume? Where am I living? What does my office look like? What do my teammates look like? What are the processes and systems that we've implemented in our follow-up process from initial contact through closing, through post-closing? Write it all out. Brain dump out the entire process. And then we can kind of take that document out and fill in the blanks on our 3-year plan. To me, guys, this has been the most instrumental piece of my career as a producer and as now and then as a leader and as a coach and leading other coaches now to build a plan that is documented and written out. But that story component of writing out the vision, amazing when I've looked back over visions that I've written out that fulfill, right? Complete. Things have been written. What do I want my net worth to look like in 3 years?
Right.
I pulled out one, seriously, I was doing my own personal reflection last weekend. pulled out 3 years ago. I put a net worth number in there, right? I didn't even remember I wrote it down. Okay. And then I looked at it. It's like, hey, Deb, hit the number, right?
Nice.
No, hit the number. But for some of us, it's just a matter of going through this process. And this is the hardest work we'll ever do. Okay. Is to read, think, and then write. Just thinking and writing. We all get in conversations, right? We all discuss stuff, but there's something magical that happens by getting it written down. So that's to me, the key to this whole process is to get it written out and getting it done.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what is the EOS Life.
Yeah, so the EOS Life. So I read a book probably 6.5 years ago called Traction by Gino Wickman. I've been a planner forever. I mean, I've always just kind of dug into, different ways to plan and process and big, leadership ideas. How do I expand upon these things? And I read a couple books probably over 20 years ago. One of them was The Four Obsessions of an Extraordinary Executive by Gino Wickman, by Patrick Lencioni. Probably still to this day, the best leadership book I've ever read. And then the other book was The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Some of you may have heard of those books, may not, but both of those books had a remarkable impact upon me. The E-Myth Revisited especially was, and it's the entrepreneurial myth. So it's how to run your business like a business. What are the things to build out that are necessary to build a real business? Anyway, 6.5 years ago, I'm recommended the book Traction by Gino Wickman. In the first preface of the book, those two books are mentioned as cornerstones to
His book. Oh.
To Traction. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, the book is very, I'll call it textbook-like. It's kind of a tough read. I read it, took me a while to get through it, but the processes and the steps to build out your business were in there. And I started implementing that with some of the branch managers that I was working with as a coach and saw extraordinary results over the next 3 years. But the book itself, as I would recommend it to people, Traction, they get about a couple of chapters. It's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. Okay. About 3 years ago, a book came out called The EOS Life by Gino Wickman. And in that book, Gino described, and I'll just pull it up right here for you, but it just described 5 components of living out this EOS life, right? And in the EOS life, what we're looking at is we're assessing, I thought I had it here, but it's just assessing why we do what we do, right? Why we get to do what we do. And I think when I looked at that, here, I have a sheet right here. I'll show you that. So this is the EOS life, okay? And it's just clearly defining, are you doing, number one, are you doing what you love? And just rank yourself. Where are you at? Are you doing what you love? Are you doing it with people you love, right? Are you doing it with people you love? Are you making a huge difference? I think we get to do that in this industry. That's for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you being compensated appropriately? That's kind of by design almost. It's like, okay, well, I don't think we have any limits in this business on what we can earn.
Right.
Now, building the systems and processes to be able to expand upon that, that's up to us, okay? And then the last piece of it, of the fifth piece of that wheel, is, do you have time for other passions, right? I don't want to just do this to be work. What are some other passions? Do I have time for other passions? That's what overall we're trying to build, right? So we're trying to build out that EOS life. And the book, The EOS Life by Gino Wickman, is the book to get to the why of the what of the book Traction, which is all that detail behind building out that entrepreneurial operating system. Like I said at the beginning, I believe every loan officer has the best entrepreneurial opportunity ever. We get to make how much per transaction? I mean, Lois, I know you're in California, so maybe some markets it's more per transaction than others. But on average, it's, $3,000 to $8,000 per transaction that we get to make. I mean, Lois, when we started, you started even before me, I think, in the business. Like, we're lucky to make, $900, $800 per transaction. So you had to do a lot of loans, right?
Right.
But back then, I didn't think it was a lot of loans. I didn't know any better. We had to do more loans, right? And I've always worked in units, not volume. I think sometimes we get a little bit stuck in working, oh, well, I'll make this, do my 3, 4, 5 million and do 3 loans. It's like, I'm like, well, what if you did 10 at whatever, right?
True.
So we work in units and we get paid in volume. So that EOS Life has been a huge component for me to help coach up people to understand what they are as a business owner. For some of you that Lois is probably sharing this with, it's like, this is an opportunity for you to help others as a potential marketing leader, a potential LO, branch leader, whatever, to build something amazing. We're here to come alongside you to help you build a real business. Seriously, it's moving beyond trying to do a few more loans to then building a system and a process to build an amazing business. And it's not difficult. It's really not, but it is work. Okay.
Yeah.
And it takes some time. One step at a time, we can help you all get there.
Excellent. Yeah. Great advice. What would you say is the best way for a loan officer to, once they get a plan, because typically we all, around this time of the year start doing our planning, but by the first quarter, we forgot what we planned out. So what would you say is the best way to keep it top of mind for when you do have a plan?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest components of the planning process is great. I've got a plan in place. Now it's tracking. It's having a simple scorecard of what you're going to track, what? Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. Okay. So if I don't have it clearly defined on what my goal is on prospecting activities weekly, track it. I'm kind of a paper to electronic person. So we personally happen to have a system here called Coach Simple. So we have an easy way to track, put your goals in, track your activities, and then measure them daily and weekly towards your goal. Like right now, we're doing a contest with folks right now, right? Track an activity. How many points can I get? We started this contest 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now. We had 43 people tracking out of 600. Okay.
Wow.
Last week, we had 243 tracking.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So huge progress. But guys, I think the key component is to get into a system and a rhythm where you're tracking your activity and your results weekly. Put the numbers in, track them, review them, assess them on a weekly basis. Does that make sense, Lois? Otherwise, it's just kind of numbers that I put out there.
Yeah,
I've got
a plan, and you look at it once a year, and then you're like, oh, I didn't hit my goals, so I make another plan for the next year. So
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to do it weekly. Track your activities. Would you say top performers? What would you say helps them to stay on course?
And again, I just got off of a call, with one of the top market leaders in the company that has one of the top producers in the company in his market, right? The dude knows his numbers. I mean, he knows his conversion percentage, credit pull to closing, application to closing, knows his turn times, tracks everything as far as his goal is how many days before closing do I have a clear to close, right? He knows his numbers. I mean, his goal is to be at 10 days prior to closing where he's got a clear to close, right? That's his goal. And he's doing in today's market 30 plus units a month. Okay. Knows his numbers beyond belief. And again, there's power in knowing your numbers. and then also tracking them towards others. So this same market leader, he talked about his goal was to chase down who? Another market leader. It's like, hey, these guys are above me. I want to get above them. Right. So there's something about that competitive nature about all of us to track and follow up with others on what they're tracking.
Mhm.
In Todd Duncan's book, that he wrote many years ago. I mean, he just talks about it. It's the power of leverage. I mean, I happen to be in the book, and it's like he's just talking about, well, there was 3 of us that we just kept chasing each other, right? For being top producer of the month. For 5 years, no one could crack the 3 of us. The 3 of us won top producer for 5 years in a row. Okay. No, because we kept competing above. And guess what the other producers were doing? They were trying to catch us.
Yeah.
We just weren't going to let them catch us. Right.
Yeah.
So that tracking, knowing that, right, creating some competitions with yourself is a huge advantage.
Awesome. Anything else that you would like to share that you think that, I mean, I know you're a coach, so how do you say that would help with planning? And
I just feel I've personally been being coached since 1998. I have a coach right now, Coach Kyle Draper, on video. It's like, I'm not doing too good yet, Lois. It's coming.
well, at least you're trying.
But I just believe in the power of coaching. So in 1998, I first started getting coached. There was not many people being coached. I was actually at a seminar, and the year before, a company called Building Champions had kicked off coaching in the mortgage industry. I think it was one of the first coaching companies in the industry to kick off. And I'm sitting next to another top producer at a Todd Duncan conference in Southern California. Is actually in San Diego. I remember distinctly being there. And this gal, she's like, you're being coached, aren't you? I'm like, no. It's like, what are you doing? Right? Get going. And guys, that just changed the trajectory of my career to the point of, yes, top producer, but then, EVP of sales, eventually being president of that same mortgage company. And then I expanded that and brought that to others. I think that was the biggest component, Lois, that what I learned was as I got coached, that I needed to turn around and coach others. I needed to coach others. So all of you, everyone, Lois included, right? Coach your partners. It's the game changer in the industry. Right now, grab 3 to 5 partners, coach them, walk them through this process of clarifying where they've been, where they're at now, and where they want to go. That is the game changer. So get coached, be a coach. Get coached, be a coach. That's the plan.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate it.
All right.